a belief in the intrinsic dignity and worth of all people, and that no one is above the law or beneath its protection. A belief in checks and balances in our government and an accountability that comes with it, an independent judiciary and a robust free press. A belief that our military and law enforcement owe allegiance not to any president or political party, but to the people and our Constitution. A belief in the peaceful transfer of power after the people have spoken in fair and free elections, recognizing that in a large, complicated society like ours, no group or faction gets its way 100% of the time. And a belief that qualities of character, honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion, a sense of duty and honor, those things matter in our public dealings, just as they do in our private lives. These are not these are the values and traditions I believe in. And they are not Republican or Democratic values. They're American values we can all share, regardless of party. Values every president here today, as different as we are, has tried our best to uphold. Values that John McCain and Mitt Romney believed in no less than I did. It is our greatest inheritance, the story of America at its best, because it reflects a basic faith in the decency of our fellow citizens and the possibility that, despite all of our differences, we can see each other and understand one another and make common cause together. That's what I hope every visitor to this center takes away from their experience. And that's why if you come for a day and you don't have time to see everything, I would urge you to skip the clips of my speeches. You have heard them all before. In favor of the stories of those ordinary citizens who helped make that change happen. The cancer survivor who feared rising premiums would force her out of her home and was brave enough to speak out about it. She's why we pushed so hard for healthcare reform.
Two separate scenes 2 days apart. In one, Trump was announcing that he had signed a peace agreement with Iran. In the other, Obama was taking the podium at the opening of the library and museum center built in his name. And Obama, without even mentioning Trump's name once, reminded all of America to whom the military owes its loyalty. A belief that our military and law enforcement are sworn to the people and the Constitution, not to any one individual or political party. On Thursday, June 18, 2026, in Chicago, this sentence, spoken in front of 3 former presidents and thousands of people, silenced the hall, because everyone knew to whom this sentence was directed. And this conversation did not come at an empty time. Just 4 days earlier, Trump had signed a deal with Iran. Obama did not ignore this agreement. On the contrary, he made a much more comprehensive assessment of both the military and this war. Now we have fought, spent billions of dollars, and put immense pressure on our military. Many people died, and we are back to where we were before the war started, maybe even in a worse situation. We've gone back to where we were before the war started, or maybe even a little worse. If you want to see such truths with this clarity, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Let's return to the stage. Background: 2 historic events 2 days apart. To understand this story, we first need to clarify the timeline. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif confirmed that the agreement would lead to the immediate cessation of all military operations between the U.S. and Iran. After intense discussions, we are pleased to announce that a peace agreement has been reached between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Both sides announced the urgent and permanent cessation of military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon, Sharif shared on X. This announcement came on a Sunday evening, and on the Thursday of the same week, the opening ceremony of the Obama Presidential Center took place. The opening took place in Jackson Park and was celebrated as a center that could be nowhere else. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama joined 3 former presidents and a host of music stars. The general public is invited to an open house starting tomorrow, Juneteenth, and throughout the weekend, featuring live performances, arts and crafts activities, and opportunities to meet sports teams.
Hello, Chicago. Sweet home Chicago. Please take a seat. Pune High, thank you for this extraordinary presentation. President and Mrs. Bush, President and Mrs. Clinton, thank you for being here today and for your dedication to our country. And President and Dr. Biden, thank you for your 8 years of unwavering partnership. Joe, we started as running partners and ended as family. A clear message without naming names. One of the most striking parts of Obama's speech was the section where he listed the fundamental principles of democracy. And although this section did not directly mention any individual, it created a clear framework. Obama, with the words, "The belief that no one is above the law and no one is below the law, the belief in a separation of powers, a robust and independent judiciary, and a free press that holds power to account," was sending a strong message emphasizing the importance of democratic institutions without naming anyone. A belief that our military and law enforcement owe their loyalty not to any one person or political party, but to the people and the Constitution. A belief in peaceful transfer of power when the people speak in free and fair elections, acknowledging that in a large and diverse society, no group or faction will always get what it wants. And a belief in the importance of character traits such as honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion, duty, and a sense of honor in our public affairs just as they are in our private lives. This paragraph may seem like an ordinary list of citizenship values, but each sentence directly targeted a concrete debate that has been on the agenda for the past few years. The New Republic's analysis clearly identified this. The former president then listed several principles outlined in the Constitution that Trump violated during his time in the Oval Office. Referring to Hegseth, commentators' reaction to Obama's statement, "Our military's loyalty is to the Constitution, not to the president." Obama indirectly referred to Trump in his speech at the inauguration ceremony. This sentence directly contrasted with the decisions Hegseth had made throughout his tenure. Hegseth had spoken of loyalty tests, fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, intervened in promotion boards, and faced criticism for politically driven decisions. Obama did not directly refer to these processes, but when he said, "Our military is sworn to the people and the Constitution," he managed to fit the most frequently voiced criticism of the politicization of the military institution into a single sentence. The evaluation of Time magazine was as follows. Obama made sharp comments on American values without mentioning Trump's name. A more direct assessment of the Iran war NBC interview. Obama's message to the military was an indirect reference, but on the Iran war, he made a much direct assessment in another interview that same week. Obama said in an interview with Craig Melvin, "Now we have fought, we have spent billions of dollars, we have put immense pressure on our military, many people died, and we feel like we are back where we were before the war started, or maybe even in a slightly worse situation. I'm very happy to see a ceasefire, and I hope it holds, and I hope it holds." The interview was conducted before the public opening of his library on Thursday and aired on the Today Show on Friday morning. This assessment was a very clear cost-benefit analysis. Billions of dollars were spent, there was immense pressure on the Army, people lost their lives, and what is the result? A return to the position before the war, or perhaps even further back. This is an analysis that directly overlaps with Moulton's earlier question, $100 billion were spent, what was achieved? This will not be very different from the JCPOA, Obama's previous prediction. Obama had expressed that he foresaw the outcome that would emerge even before Trump announced the agreement. The former president argued that any new agreement the U.S. would make with Iran would largely resemble the JCPOA, stating it is doubtful that any agreement that emerges will be significantly different or better than the one we initially had and the one that worked for a long time before the United States withdrew. And he made this assessment in an interview with Robin Roberts on ABC News' Good Morning America. So, I hope for the bombing to stop and for ordinary people to no longer suffer as a result of the war, he added. This prediction carried a significant historical irony. When Trump withdrew from the JCPOA agreement signed by Obama in 2015, in 2018, he called it the worst deal ever. 8 years later, Trump himself signed a new deal with Iran, and Obama predicted that this new deal would not be very different from his deal. Obama said of the Iran deal, "Looking back, this is a reminder that in a lot of different foreign policy problems, the idea that we can solve them through coercion or bombing sometimes seems attractive. But the truth is that taking the time to do diplomacy and exhausting the possibilities of finding agreements that don't solve the problem 100%, but solve it 80 or 90%, while avoiding the necessity of going to war is a reminder. You would think that we should have learned this lesson by now, but it seems that we have to keep relearning it every so often. One might think that we should have learned this lesson by now, but it seems that we have to keep relearning it every once in a while." Counterattack, jealous prom queen. Obama's remarks drew the expected sharp political backlash. A commentary published in The Hill began, "Former President Obama is looking in from the outside, and he doesn't like what he sees. Like last year's prom queen who refuses to give up her crown, Obama is whining about Trump's new deal with Iran." This article also claimed, in reality, former President Obama's deal was not working, and Obama knew it. The conclusion of the article stated, "In the coming weeks, as the propaganda machine in Iran gives way to reality and negotiations turn into concrete agreements, we will have a clearer view of the concessions made by both sides. As the cacophony of criticism continues, remember that Democrats are panicking over the prospect that Trump's odds and the Republicans' outlook for the midterms will improve as gas prices fall. While the cacophony of criticism continues, remember that Democrats are panicking over the prospect that Trump's odds and the Republicans' outlook for the midterms will improve as gas prices fall." This counter-response shows how politically sensitive Obama's criticism is targeting. If gas prices really do fall, that could strengthen Trump's political position, exactly the opposite of the almost certain defeat warning Gruters had previously issued. Symbolic weight of the library. 4 former presidents together. Another element that strengthened the political message of this opening was the diversity of the names on stage. Former President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, along with former Presidents Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Joe Biden, gathered with numerous famous names at today's ceremony. Musical artists Bono, Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, and John Legend performed around Obama's speech. The presence of a Republican, Bush, and 2 Democratic former presidents, Clinton and Biden, standing alongside Obama provided visual support for his message in the speech. These are not Republican or Democratic values, but American values that we all share. Obama clearly emphasized this point. These are the values and traditions I believe in, and they are not Republican or Democratic values. These are American values that we all share, regardless of party, values that every president here, no matter how different, has tried to uphold to the best of their ability, values that John McCain and Mitt Romney embraced as much as I have. These are American values that we can all share, values that every president here, no matter how different we are, has tried to protect to the best of their ability, values that John McCain and Mitt Romney embraced as much as I have. This is an extremely important rhetorical move. Obama was trying to show that his criticism was not partisan, but institutional, by including his political rivals, McCain and Romney, within this framework of values. Lincoln Memorial Pool, a symbolic response. In the same week as this discussion, another small but significant detail came to light. The president's reflection pool troubles are growing. Days after the water in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool turned green, the recently applied blue paint is now peeling from the bottom of the pool. The spread of images on social media showing the new $4 million paint peeling just 12 days after the pool reopened drew attention, while reports indicated that the existing algae bloom in the pool reached its highest level in 5 years in June, according to the Washington Post. It was also alleged that the president requested a special American blue tone for the pool's renovation, that this $4 million project was not subjected to the standard bidding process, and that it was awarded to a company without a federal contracting history. This scenario, set against the backdrop of Obama's speech, highlighted a broader discussion on the management of public resources, contrasting a carefully constructed public center focused on democratic values with a high-cost renovation showing signs of wear in a short period. Conclusion: 2 layers of the message. The entirety of this story consists of 2 separate but complementary layers of the message. The first layer is the abstract but powerful principle expressed by Obama in his inaugural address. The military is bound not to any president, but to the Constitution. This was a warning without naming names, but everyone understood the right frame. A belief that our military and law enforcement owe loyalty not to any president or political party, but to the people and our Constitution. The belief that our military and law enforcement forces owe loyalty not to any president or political party, but to the people and our Constitution. The second layer is Obama's much more concrete assessment of the Iran war. Billions of dollars were spent, the military was strained, people died, and the result is the same as before the war started, maybe even worse. Now we fought, we spent billions of dollars, we put immense pressure on our military. Many people died, and we are back to where we were before the war started, maybe even worse. WFAE. When these 2 messages are considered together, the general framework Obama provided during his inaugural week was this: institutions must uphold their values, wars produce real costs, and diplomacy is always an option that should be exhausted before resorting to bombs. Trump's administration did not delay in responding to these criticisms, but Obama's inaugural address, without ever mentioning his name, made history with the silence he established in the presence of 4 former presidents. If you want to follow such analyses, subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications. See you in the next update.